How's it going, everybody? It's week 4 of college football, and the SEC is finally getting underway. Sorry I didn't make a review video, but having to lick my wounds after the beer definitely taught us that we should definitely respect our elders, as him and the Dolphins put a whooping on the Stash and the Jaguars. I do believe the final was 31-13. Miami whipped up on the Jacksonville Jaguars in a shocking upset. 31-13. Did not see that one coming. Obviously, by me taking the Jaguars and the Stash. But hey, Fitzmagic showing up for the Dolphins. Looked really good. Uh, Expected the absolute opposite from the game, but that's how NFL Thursday night seems to go most of the times. But anyways, now let's move on to college football. All right, and obviously going to be doing my predictions as I have been. I've got 5 games picked out that I will bet on. Well, obviously, I say this every week. I don't actually bet, but that I will pick against the spread or on the spread, and then the rest I will just pick straight up winner or loser. Um, which lately here, it's been pretty good to go against me because I've been picking a lot of losers. I will not be picking for or against Alabama due to extreme bias. Sorry, just being honest. Extreme bias for Alabama, obvious. Uh, and I figure if you can't be honest about it, then you shouldn't even do these videos. So I'm just going to stay away from it altogether. Now, obviously, bigger games, I will indulge into it more. But being Alabama, Missouri, it would just come off as super biased. So I'm not even going to touch that. So either way, I've got Central Florida over East Carolina, uh, Louisiana over Georgia Southern, Pitt over Louisville, Oklahoma over Kansas State, Florida over Ole Miss, LSU over Mississippi State, Oklahoma over West Virginia, Texas over Texas Tech, Georgia over Arkansas, A&M over Vandy. This is going to be kind of difficult. Still haven't made up my mind on this one. So, tell you what, give me the Hokey Pokeys at home. I'll take Virginia Tech at home over NC State. All right, my first pick, I've got Auburn minus 7.5 at home over Kentucky. I know Kentucky's getting Terry Wilson back, supposedly fully healthy. I kind of went back and forth because I know a lot of Auburn fans are expecting an easy blowout, and it's very easy to jump on the 7.5. It's very easy to underestimate a Stoops team at Kentucky. Um, but I have to agree with this one. Auburn, well, I don't think they'll win it by 4 or 5 touchdowns. I do see it being a 14 to 17 point game easily. Um, Kentucky has lost a lot of leadership over the past 2 years. And yes, they do get Terry Wilson back, but he was not very productive when he was here before. Um, when they went to the Citrus Bowl and beat Penn State, that was not a very high scoring offense. So as much as I'm glad they're excited about him being back. I'm not too, if it wasn't that great defense, you know, that team wouldn't have went 11-2 or 10-2, whatever they ended up finishing that year. Um, so you kind of got to be careful. And Auburn, I think it's a pretty easy pick with Bo Nix. Gus Malzahn raves about him, which, the thing about Auburn and Gus Malzahn, he tends to rave about every team, which gets him in a little bit of trouble with Auburn fans. Um, and I'm not just saying that as a Alabama fan. A lot of, unbiased people would say that. He tends to pump up his Auburn teams, but I actually believe Bo Nix is actually a quarterback that it's actually called for. You've seen what he did against Alabama in the Iron Bowl last year, against Oregon. He kept them, made a couple of mistakes against LSU, but as a true freshman, Bo Nix did about as well as you could ask. Um, so I've got Auburn. Either way, I've got Auburn winning this one 27-10 at home against Kentucky to start 1-0. All right, and my next pick, I've got Army plus 13.5 against Cincinnati. Army has been a team that's really intrigued me after they just destroyed Middle Tennessee in Week 1, and we haven't seen anything from them since. I think they've had 2 games postponed, and they had 1 bye week. But either way, I would have loved to have seen more from Army, and that's why I think they're a 2.5 or a 2 touchdown underdog. I think it's because people have forgotten how dominant they looked against Middle Tennessee, and maybe they're saying, well, it was just Middle Tennessee. But the way they executed and the way they came out, I do think Cincinnati is the better team, and I do think Cincinnati will win the game. I do think Army will give them more than enough trouble. I think it'll be a good ball game, and I see Cincinnati winning the game, but Army covering the spread. I see the final Cincinnati 31-27, maybe 31-20, something like that. But I see Army giving Cincinnati everything and more than what they want, or at least that's what I'm pulling for. Uh, you know, I guess I kind of lean towards our armed service men and women. So whenever our armed service football team or one of our teams get out like that, I tend to pull for them, I guess. But I actually took Middle Tennessee in Week 1, and they made me regret it real quick. So I said I wouldn't make that mistake again, and I'm not. So they really looked good. Quarterback Christian Anderson. Christian Anderson, Jacoby Buchanan, and Tyrell Robinson. They ran for over 400 yards and 5 touchdowns between the 3 of them. And I know Luke Fickell at Cincinnati's got things rolling there. But they just better not overlook the Knights, or they could be in some trouble. So I've got Cincinnati winning the game, but Army covering the 2 touchdown spread, or 13.5 point spread. All right, and another team that has been had their games postponed since Week 1 is BYU. And I've got BYU over Troy here. So I've got BYU minus 14 at home versus Troy. Minus 14.5. BYU looked great in their non-conference opener against Navy, and I expect more of the same. I think they'll come out and look great against Troy. Zach Wilson just looked phenomenal. And I expect more of the same. Like I said, I think BYU, um, I think they're finally on the path that Bronco Mendenhall had them on. I think they're finally on that same level. Uh, I know it's taken them a couple of years to get back there, and they might even be better than where Bronco had them. Coach Kalani Satake, I mean, he's come in. He was on the staff with Bronco Mendenhall. He came in, or he stayed when everybody left with him to go to Virginia. But he stuck around. He had a couple of rough years. But that upset win at Tennessee last year, and just the continuation of what they've been able to build on. They pulled the upset at Nebraska a couple of years ago. But really, them just to continue to build. Um, and I finally think they're back to that level. It's a shame the way 2020 is going to work out that no matter what BYU ended up doing, there's not going to be really any chance for a CFP playoff berth, especially now with the Big Ten and now the Pac-12 coming back into play. So it really doesn't matter what BYU was going to do, especially since BYU has canceled all their games against the Pac-12 opponents that they could have played, like their interstate rival Utah, which we don't know if they'll try to work something out. You would think they might try to, slide something in there. I don't know if they'll be able to with the Pac-12 only doing a 7-game schedule. You would think they're going to try to just, push in conference games there. I don't know how that madness is going to work out, but either way, it's a shame because I think this could go down as a very special BYU team, and as much as I hate it for Troy being a home state team here in Alabama, I really hate it for them to go on the road. And I really feel like BYU is going to put it to them. Don't really want to put a score on it. It's just should be ugly. So I've got BYU hammering Troy. Use your imagination. Be kind to my home state team, though. All right, next up, I've got Tennessee minus 3.5 at South Carolina. I think Jeremy Pruitt has got this thing turned around, or headed in the right direction up on Rocky Top. Sadly for Will Muschamp, I don't feel the same at South Carolina, especially since with Helinski not getting the job at South Carolina, I think that shows that there's something wrong. Now, maybe I'm misreading that. Totally, I mean, that I could just be misjudging that. That could just be me. But as good as he tended to play last year, for somebody to come in and take the job, to me, that shows that he didn't develop. Or else, why did this guy leave Colorado State? If this guy was that good, why was he? I just don't see the connection. Why was somebody able to come in from a lesser school that there wasn't that much noise about and beat out this kid Helinski, who I thought played really well sometimes, especially for a freshman. Now, at times he showed badly sometimes that he was a true freshman, but had really bright spots and showed a lot of potential. So much so that your senior quarterback would opt out for the transfer portal instead of trying to get a medical red shirt. So when let's see, what's his name? When Colin Hill comes in and wins the job from Helinski, you've got to wonder what happened. And I just don't think that's a good omen for the South Carolina Gamecock season. I could be wrong. I have no insider into that program, so maybe I'm wrong. But judging from what I've been hearing about Tennessee and Jeremy Pruitt, I'm hearing nothing but positive things coming from Knoxville and Jarrett Garantano and the way Pruitt's building things up there. They seem to be very satisfied, and I would just be more comfortable leaning towards Rocky Top in this one so much that I like Tennessee to win this game. I would say 27-7, maybe 21-7, something like that. I do think Pruitt's the type of coach. He might, still being a young coach, he might get a little conservative with a lead, kind of sit on it. I don't think he's really the type of coach that if they jump out early, that he's going to try to rack up 40 or something like that. You know, if he gets up like 24-0, 27-7, something like that, he might try to sit on it and just compact the offense. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but you know, with it being 2020, we have no idea how the lack of preparation, or maybe things are different for the SEC. They've had a longer prep time than other conferences had. So, you know, we're going to see maybe something different from the SEC than we got to see from other major conferences and other universities. So, I don't know, just me personally, from what I've seen at Pruitt's early time at Tennessee, I wouldn't be shocked if they jumped out early because they do have a talent gap over Carolina, I believe. And I believe they've got a better coaching staff. Tennessee does. And I believe they can force a couple of mistakes, get a nice lead at the half. And I think they could sit on it, squeeze out a win. Like I said, 24-7, 24-6, something like that. Maybe even 17-6. Something. You know, I don't see a high scoring game in this one. But Tennessee should cover the 3.5 points. I see them doing that easily. And moving to 1-0 in the SEC and on the regular season up on Rocky Top. And last but not least, I won't torture y'all anymore. I've got Miami and De'Aaron King. I think they'll smoke interstate rival, or state rival, Florida State. Obviously, this rival isn't what it used to be. In this game, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, would have been all that we talked about leading up to it, and now it's merely an afterthought. Miami, an 11-point favorite in this game. Mike Norvell, Florida State head coach, hasn't been around his team in almost 10 days due to COVID quarantine. He did test positive, so we'll see if that affects Florida State. I do believe it will. It's already been just a rough start to the season for them, and I think it's going to get even worse tomorrow. Miami coming off that big win over Louisville. I think they're going to push it even more, as I think they've unlocked something with De'Aaron King and that Miami offense, and I'm saying a 35-10, 42-17 type win, Miami over Florida State. Well, I appreciate you joining in. I'll have some pro picks out as well. We'll have our college football review, look over how we did and what happened over the weekend. And until then, y'all take care. God bless. Peace.